Either the rapture didn't happen, or we're all going to hell. Put your hands over your nose, try to ignore that burning smell.
Hello, my name is Dan Brown. My pronouns are he and him, and I am running a game called Rising Tide for the Gauntlet gaming community. Rising Tide is a PARAGON playset designed by me to deal with eco-activism, direct action eco-activism in a near future Earth. I will let my players introduce themselves in just a sec. We have 3 safety tools in effect: X card, open table, and lines and veils. And the players and I review those in our first session. We have a safety and resources tab, friends, that I urge you to revisit to remind yourselves of the lines and veils in play. Anyway, I'm going to go in character keeper order. So, Matthew, you're up.
Yes.
You are up. To introduce yourself and your character, do you need the character keeper?
I've got it. And even if I didn't have it, I still remember who my character is. My character's name is Oscar Chakrabarty, if I recall correctly, or am I wrong?
That's right. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, because I'm only playing 4 games this month, not 5 or 6. So a little extra brain space there. No, seriously. Hi. Today I'm Matthew. I use he/him pronouns. Today I will be playing Oscar Chakrabarty, a sort of a craven, cowardly former energy executive type who grew conscious after a terminal illness afflicted him, and now he's trying to do in his own way, like make right with things before he shuffles off this mortal coil.
That was such a great intro. Thank you. That was awesome. Unfortunately, Shane is not with us today. So Harry, you are up.
Hi, I'm Harry. I'm playing Greg Winslow. Both answer to he/him pronouns. Greg is used to work IT for ExxonMobil, and he used to make fun of people that stood up for the environment and stuff like that. And until his daughter got sick and died, and then he read a letter that she left him, and it caused him to overcorrect to the point where he's making it a crusade to try and stop the people that would ruin the earth for people like his daughter, and make it better for other kids and such. But it's kind of lost.
And in our first session, I think Greg shot someone for the first time, and I think has been sort of processing that since then. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Great. Thanks, Harry. And Mark, you're up.
Hi, I'm Mark. I use he/him pronouns. I'm playing Jackson Rodriguez, who also uses he/him pronouns. And Jackson is a scientist and a former lab researcher who was involved in some animal research and some other areas that he is not proud of, and is now trying to make up for his past by being a better person going forward. And I just wanted to comment, Dan, when he discovered that Shane is not going to be here tonight, he just cut his character right out of the character keeper. It's just gone entirely.
I hid the columns.
I'm just kidding.
When she comes back, the columns will reappear and it will be totally fine.
Cheers.
I was like, what did I do? Oh, I just hit the columns. Friends, I'm so excited to play with you. It's been 2 weeks. I had to skip last week, so we need a recap for these old neurons. In my recollection, we sort of are getting to the denouement of this first mission, and my hope is that we can kind of wrap up this mission and maybe start another shorter one and play that out next week in our last session. But Mark, can I put you on the spot? What do you recall from previously on Rising Tide? What happened in our last episode?
I just
Yeah.
want to say I'm moderate. I'm when Mark's made that remark earlier. I'm now moderately excited about a game that's just lethal enough for Dan to be just like delete tab, delete tab, delete tab.
You're done.
That slasher film
Uh,
RPG would be interesting. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I was trying to find my notes, which are I guess somewhat missing, which is about as
You need me to buy you
expected from me.
time? You need me to buy you time?
No. Let's talk about what happened last week. I'll talk about some of the points that I remember.
Yeah, whatever you remember.
So I remember we were introduced, or we met with a representative of the Greenwall Project, and her. I'm sure she's on the NPCs here. Chloe Najuma.
Yeah, nice work.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And we also encountered a Vice reporter. I'll go. Maybe that happened the previous session. I can't remember. Chloe Woods.
Nice.
And interacted with Chloe. Chloe wanted to know what we were doing there. Was that last session though, or was that 2 sessions ago?
I think it was last session.
Okay, I thought so too. I don't know. In the end, we ended with an attack, I believe, on the compound, being protected by UN troops and so forth. There was an explosion. There were some members of the opposing force, the People's Justice, who were making a run on the Greenwall Project compound. Those are the folks who are trying to create a green wall to prevent the further encroachment of the Sahara on lands that people are living on. Yeah, that's what comes to mind off the top of my head.
That's great. Harry, do you have any other details you want to fill?
Well, let's see. Okay, so I know that Copper Knife was the leader, and that they got away with
that
Chloe and Ewan Chambers.
Yeah, Ewan Chambers. Ewan Chambers was that Matthew was that executive that ended up being sort of in the vans in the first episode, in the van, and so in the second episode, you all captured him. And he was sort of sitting there kind of captured while you all were sort of exploring the village. But then I think they discovered that he was kidnapped by the People's Justice folks. That's a good recollection, Harry. Any other details come to mind?
We think pretty much everybody except for Jackson kind of took it on the chin, I think, in that raid that they performed, whatever. Jackson came out finding some secret, what was it, plant accelerator or growth accelerator, fertilizer or something like that. I don't know what it is. And hopefully we're going to try and, connect that to whatever weird machinations that the corporate interests have in this area.
I think that's good. I think the group is heading towards the People's Justice hideout or wherever they took Ewan Chambers, the new hotness on the Gauntlet is to read out the wishes from the last session to remind everyone. So what I captured was Mark had said that he was enjoying himself. He wants more of the same, but I wrote down he wants combat. And I think we decided that we were going to do some combat in the first encounter today. And Harry said, I really just want to know what the conspiracy theory is. And we were all like, yeah, we should think about that. And I promise you, I did not think about that. And I'm sorry. And Shane had said she wants to see more righteous violence, which I thought was awesome. But she also wants to see sort of Kara kind of have some arc, some kind of character growth, that she's developed a conscience. So yeah, so those are the wishes. Does that ring a bell to you all? Did I miss anything, Harry or Mark, with that stuff? So what I'm thinking is you all are bearing down on the people's justice. What we decided was that maybe the combat was with the nasty Americans, and that we're going to have a more nuanced encounter with the people's justice folks, because maybe they weren't entirely wrong, right? They just don't want international involvement in their community, right? That's, I think, their motive, but what we think their motivation is. So I'm wondering if, as let's talk about what that pursuit looks like, and maybe some of Ewan Chambers' goons show up to kind of get rid of you all, because they perceive you to be a stronger threat. Does that sound reasonable? Anyone want to add to that? Oh my gosh. Harry posted a Wikipedia link to a conspiracy theory. Whoa, this is heavy stuff. I'm excited to read that article, but maybe not right now. So here's what I'm thinking is that you're at the edge of the Sahara, and that the People's Justice folks maybe have a hideout at kind of an oasis just inside the desert, and that they are heading in that direction, and that as you are pursuing them, we'll see the Chambers mercenary team kind of show up on ATVs and such. But I'm curious, how are you pursuing them? Are you using one of the vans that you have, or using one of the trucks that you commandeered, or did you work with anyone? Mark, let me start with you. What do you think this pursuit looks like?
So it makes sense that it would probably be one of the armored cars that was there. However, if there are like some ATVs or some type of motorcycles there, then probably it would be Jackson's first instinct to grab one of those.
All right, so maybe you grabbed a bike, a motorcycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
A dirt bike, kind of, or
yes.
Not dirt bike, but like a motor dirt bike thing.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about bikes.
No.
Okay. And you're just kind of speeding after them.
Right. And I know that the rest of the crew should be following as well.
Did we decide that they had kidnapped Chloe, or that maybe she was going along for the ride? What did we decide?
I think she had disappeared. We don't know exactly what happened to her.
Okay.
I think.
All right, that's fair. That makes sense. So she might show up later. Love it. Harry, what is Greg doing in this pursuit?
Well, he sees Jackson run over, jump on a bike, and take up after them, and Greg's just like, okay, and he'll fumble to the armored car because he's not going to get on a motorcycle. He's just not that kind of guy.
No.
So he'll get in there and try and see if Oscar will come along with him and try to keep up with the guy on the motorbike. I mean, Jackson's been the action star from last episode, so it fits for him. But yeah.
And I think all your equipment and stuff.
It's in there.
Yeah. Oscar, there was a big party to kind of celebrate some. I think they were sort of celebrating. Maybe it was the thing that occurs to me is planting 1 million trees. So I think that's what they were celebrating, and that's when the People's Justice kind of made their first big attack, and that's why we're sort of in this situation now. We all kind of assumed that Oscar was sort of working the room, but when push came to shove, when the bullets started flying, he was really nowhere to be found. So I'm curious now, kind of what do you think Oscar is doing? Did he get into the van with Greg? Did he pick up his own bike? Is he hanging back in the village? What do you think?
I want to see where did the party take place?
In this kind of village square where,
all right,
so the Green Wall folks are largely locals, but there's a lot of kind of UN presence here, and that's what the People's Justice are objecting to. So there was a lot of kind of UN equipment and things like that that the People's Justice went after.
All right. So I suppose the commotion is that Harry and, sorry, is it Greg or is Greg? Yeah, sorry. Greg and Jackson get onto their vehicles and they make a lot of noise with their engines starting up. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the enemies are closing in, kind of situation.
This is a pursuit. So this first conflict is essentially, that we're setting up the scene in a pursuit. You all are going after People's Justice, but you're going to be attacked by the evil Americans.
All right. So I'd say that what Oscar would do is try to. He comes out. His clothes are disheveled from maybe drinking a little bit too much last night, and he gets on a motorbike as well. Like he just sort of like rushes, and he puts down the handlebars in his hands, and he's like doesn't know, it's a little fearful of it, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell?" and just like gets on it.
All right, so I'm picturing kind of two motorbikes going off kind of in front. I'm picturing Greg in the armored vehicle kind of behind, and you're chasing after this kind of set of vehicles. That's the People's Justice. And just as you're sort of closing in, the oasis is kind of in sight in the distance. I'm picturing it's dusk now. It's still hot here in the desert, but maybe there's a slight cool breeze. It's a clear night. The moon is high in the sky. And that's when you hear the sounds of other revving engines sort of coming up behind and off to the side. And let's say there's a group of like 6 guys on ATVs kind of bouncing their way over the sand and the dunes. And these are clearly American mercenaries, and they are clearly there. Your immediate conclusion is that they're there to save Ewan Chambers, to extract him from this. You can only assume that they are on his side and that they're not yet another group that's wants to have their way with Ewan Chambers. But so that's kind of the situation. We are in the final battle of this mission. Final battles in Agon or in the Paragon system consists of 3 conflicts. So all of these contests work exactly the same way as these other contests, except they sort of build on each other. This first one is known as the Clash. And the idea here is that we're sort of making some opening moves to set yourselves up for success. The second one will be a threat, and that's where the big bad, in this case Copper Knife, does something to kind of distract you all. And then the final is called the finale, and that's where this kind of concluding contest, which might be not violent, but might be one of wits, it might be one of politics, who knows what that final contest will be. But this first one for sure is violence. So I've set up a situation. One difference between this and previous contests is that you each can choose the domain that you roll for the clash. So based on the way you want to kind of play this, you'll choose what domain you want to use. So Matthew, can I start with you? You've got these guys coming. They're brandishing weapons. They're even starting to shoot. What does Oscar do?
Are they're swarming like parallel to us to open fire basically?
Yeah, I'm picturing them like 3 and 3 coming up on either side of your little caravan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I think what Oscar does is, he's still a little sauced, so he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing, or rather, he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't know the gravity of what he's doing. And he is going to use, I think, he is going to use support and logistics to slam his bike sideways so that he can move to the right hand side and keep all the enemies on the other side of him, rather than them grouping up around him. And while sliding that, he takes out his pistol and tries to fire. And
I love it. That feels very action movie. That feels like we are in media res in this episode. We just dropped in and someone's shooting already.
First of all, I also want to say nighttime desert, very cool. And second of all, even though it is completely irresponsible to do so, Oscar is shooting his pistol sideways because that is cool.
Because that's what they do in the movies, and obviously that looks good. Fantastic, thank you. Harry, tell me about what Greg is doing with these goons showing.
Okay, so as he's driving the armored car, he's starting to sweat. He's still got the blood trickling down the side of his head from the previous attack. He's checking the communications equipment to make sure that we're still within contact with our boat or whatever. And in doing so, he kind of like opens up the mic and just leaves it on, and then he's just kind of rambling to himself. He's like, "What am I doing here? What the hell? Oh my God! Oh God! Watch out, Oscar!" He does that weird maneuver on the side, and he's just going to try and make sure that Jackson doesn't get run over. He's going to put the armored car between them and the rest, just kind of like Oscar tried to do. But the armored vehicle is a little bit more sturdy,
right?
So, at least try and give Jackson a chance to make the moves. And hopefully his luck will keep holding from last game.
Love it. That sounds great. And Mark, tell us about what Jackson's doing.
Harry, I love the way you're playing Greg. Every time Greg does something, it cracks me up. It's awesome. So I think that Jackson is sciencing this. And he feels like he needs to science the shit out of this. So on the bike that he's on, there's a saddlebag, and he is like looking back and forth between the saddlebag and the road ahead, and he pulls out some flares, and nice. There's something else in there that is something that will burn very bright.
Okay.
And so he puts that around the end of a couple of flares in kind of like a flower shape, and then lights the flares. And as Greg pulls the armored vehicle in front, he jams the flares into the back to provide like a blinding light on the attackers, so that they can't see what's going on account of it's dark.
Love it. That sounds great. So I'm now going to roll for the mercenaries to establish the difficulty level. I get to ask you a question before I do that, which is, do any of your complications come into play? Recall that if you let me add a die to my pool, you can earn some duty points, what is known in Aegon as glory. So essentially the key experience point mechanic. So Matthew, does Oscar's complication come into play at all? He is suffering from an illness, from a terminal illness.
Yeah, why not? Let's live dangerously, narrative-wise. I was thinking about it, but now that you've asked me, I gotta do it.
Fantastic. Do you want 6, 8, or 10 duty? Depending on what you choose, that determines the die that I get to add.
Let's go 8.
8. So I'll add a D10 to my pool. How does his illness play into this at all? Is this sort of creating some tension for him? Is he unusually brave because of his diagnosis? What do you think?
Yeah, I think what happens is when the alcohol begins to wear off, he starts feeling like the illness sort of like take hold, and because of that, he tries to power through it by thinking like, if I just keep moving, if I just keep like, right, and sort of like fake adrenaline kind of thing. Yeah, let's do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Harry, does Greg's complication play a role in this?
I don't think for this one, I think his complication would come to the fore usually in a more social type of situation as opposed to just try and stay alive situation.
Right. I mean, he might be sort of thinking of his daughter as he's dealing with this danger, but maybe it doesn't sort of complicate his life, right?
Yeah, it's not at the forefront right now.
Right. And Jackson, what do you think? Is your complication playing a role here?
No, I don't think so on this one.
Okay. So, Matthew, I'm going to add 8 to your duty, and I'm going to roll for these dudes. I need to refresh the page. I will put a link to the dice roller just in case.
All right.
All right, so I have 2d10 and a d8. And recall, I take the highest die, and then I add a 5 to it. And I rolled an 8, or one of my dice rolled an 8. And so your difficulty is 13. So you are trying to beat a 13. So let me go in character keeper order, and let's build pools. Recall, you're just going to click on the dice in the dice roller just to build the pool. Then we'll confirm that we're all done, and then we'll each roll that pool separately. So Matthew, you automatically get to add your function die. That's a D6. Does your value come into play here? You're muted. Matthew, you're muted. Matthew, you are muted.
Sorry, that the last few words I was saying was like, am I unmuted?
Yes. The last few words I was saying was yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so sorry. The value I'm looking for it too.
Is your value is equality.
Yeah, that's. I think an argument can be made. Rebalancing the nature of the combat. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Which domain are you using here?
I think this is more of a. Well, they're all D6s. I think they're more like a combat and tactics. You cannot make an argument that it's politics and communications. That seems silly.
Not really, but you'll have a chance to add that die, I feel like. Do you want to spend a strength to add a D4 to your pool? Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Let's see.
You have plenty.
Yeah. I say slippery. Let's spend no. Not sure how to spend the strengths. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, and tell me if this is a stretch, but maybe you have a keen understanding of how deserts work. And
yeah,
so
I guess
navigating over a desert terrain, with either your geophysics or your resource extraction background.
I'd say let's go with resource extraction. Let's say like what he's calling into is experience walking and working in the field.
Yeah.
With it, in the safety of like a hard hat and all the protective gear usually while overseeing the site, but still he knows how to walk without rhythm.
Yes, familiar with dangerous terrain. I like it. You don't have any momentum. We talked about your complication already. I don't know that your dozens of passports and permits will
No,
help
no.
you in this particular situation, but you have a couple more choices you can make. Do you want to spend any of your bonds?
Yeah, let's see. Let's spend a bond with with Jackson. Yeah, I think it's a case of he sees Jackson and he tries to emulate that gung ho nature. So let's go.
That's great. That's another D6. And do you want to spend a stress or mark a stress to add the D8 to your pool? Remember, you're trying to get 13. So.
Add a D8, you said?
Yes.
A domain. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean,
you got it.
Oscar's life is always stressed now.
And
this is what it is.
One thing we started doing last time, which I really liked, was I would ask sort of, is there anything in the fictional positioning of where you're at that gives you any kind of advantage? And it's hard for me to think of anything, but maybe you have some idea.
I think the mere fact that he's trying to gain an advantage is already negates that. So no,
okay.
I think we're fine for now.
Okay. Yeah. So I've got 4 D6, a D8, and a D4.
Exactly.
Cool. I could use another hand, honestly, when I count those out. All right. Fantastic. Harry, should we walk through, or have you got your pool already?
Yeah, I'm still going to walk through it just so.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So it's 1d6 for communications for the function. For value, revenge works pretty well in violent type situations because these guys are obviously bad guys. That's a second D6. I think the domain is going to be combat and tactics, which is a D6. Then the only strength that I have left is computer science, which I don't think I'm going to be able to use in this particular situation. But I am going to spend mark a stress to gain, put my D8 in there. That puts me there. And for the asset, all I have left is the signal jammer. Would popping that off and cutting off their communications be of any value? Or?
I mean, if you want to do that here, you want to save it. I like the idea of kind of trying to cut off the radios between them. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So, right. And that's worth, what would that be worth?
So we get to sort of decide. I think that, I think that would give you a fairly substantive advantage. So I will say you get a D8 for that.
All right. So that's 3D6 and 2D8 right now. And I'm going to save, I only have one bond left with Jackson. I'm going to save that for the the next part.
That makes sense. And then you could spend momentum. You've got 2 momentum marked. So you've got a D6, you've got a D8 that you could add to your pool from your momentum.
I think I've already got 2 D8s in here, and we still got the other 2 left. I'm running low on resources and stuff, so right. I'm try and save that for the rest of it. So I think 3D6 and 2D8 should be good for me.
Sounds great. Great. Cool. And Mark, you're up. You want to do a walkthrough?
Yeah, so I'll take science for 6 and I think natural world for another 6 because we're in the great outdoors doing
yes, that's good.
I'll take science and technology for an 8 because that's what I was working with. I'm going to take luck. I'm going to go ahead and burn that luck that I had.
Yep, I think you'll need it.
And there's
constructing a flower like so good.
I'm going to spend this momentum die, which is another D6. Not bringing in complication, no asset that I'm going to use. I'm going to spend my bond with Greg though, because Greg is maneuvering the armored vehicle. So I think we're kind of like thinking on the same. We're mutually using each other's idea, I guess.
Okay.
But what is spending the bond gets me a
D6.
Name. Okay, a named die D6. Okay. And now I've got 4 stress. So if I take an additional stress, then I mark a dedication.
That's right.
What other effect does that have? I can't remember.
It just means you can no longer spend stress to add domain dice to your additional domain dice to your rolls
For the remainder of this.
For this particular mission. Yeah. Between missions, they'll reset.
Got it. Okay. So I've done that. So I don't mark dedication until I spend another stress.
Or
do I mark it as soon as I fill up that stress?
Yeah, you mark it as soon as you.
Got it.
Which would also give you an advance. So, but I think we'll
deal with
that separately. Yeah.
Yeah. So marking that lets me add another stress. I'll take another D6. And I think I did everything I could do.
Okay. I guess, and I didn't ask Harry this question either, but is there any fictional positioning that would help either of you two out? Can you make a case for anything that you've got going for you in the fiction?
I could make an argument for the size and mass of the vehicle if they're all on ATVs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I like
vehicle versus that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say maybe that only affords you a D6 because it's still kind of hard to maneuver.
Hard to get in, yeah.
Yeah. What about Mark? Anything for Jackson?
No.
All right. I think we have our pools. So we're trying to beat a 13. Remember, we add up the two highest and then add the D4 results. So Matthew, do you want to hit roll?
Getting ready to roll. Hitting it to roll. Let's go. Numbers are a 6, a 5, a 4, and a 2 on the D6s. And a 5 and a D8 and a 4.
Great.
So
yeah. So your two highest are a 6 and a 5,
11,
which is 11, and then you get the D4, which is another 4, so that's 15.
Yeah,
you were doing very well. Nice.
Where does the D8 play in again, or does this D8 count as a 6, as a D6?
It's not so. It's just whatever two dice roll the highest.
That's right. Whatever two dice, including the D8s. Yeah.
Right.
Got it. All right. So that's a 15.
Yep. Nice. That's really good. Harry, you want to roll for Greg?
Yeah. Let's see here. And oh, there you go. 8 and a 7.
Another 15.
And a 2D8.
Goodness for those D8s. Nicely done. And Jackson.
Okay. Not my best day. 12. 15.
Got it. Everyone got a 15. Holy moly. I'm just trying to remember. Does that mean you all get 13 duty now? Mm-hmm. So you can add that duty in. I guess that means you all can mark momentum according to my poorly documented rules. Hang on. Yep, I say you all get to mark momentum.
We're all marking momentum, and we're all marking 13 duty?
Yeah, you add 13 to your duty. So
all right.
That puts you up to 31. All right, so you all rolled best. So that means
we'll all rolled 15s.
Yeah, you all rolled 15s.
Nice.
Nice. And that's a first for me. So we'll just go in character keeper order. Just narrate your success here. So Matthew, why don't you tell us what this looks? How does Oscar pull this off?
Well, first of all, I want to say is that the dream in this group is for each of us to roll 23 so that we can come to a total of 69. But
that is recorded for posterity. Yes.
Yes. I think, yeah. So Oscar sort of like kick flips the gears. I don't know how to operate a motorcycle, um, and slides the bike into a curve right around the entire group, putting them all in harm's way. And he just goes like pop, 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 and takes out a bunch of them, a number that will be unspecified because we're all in this together, and we all want to be equally cool.
Was he aiming to kill them? Was he aiming to just simply disable them? Incapacitate them, I should say, or something else?
He was aiming to shoot at them, meaning like if he gets ahead, unfortunate. If he just cripples someone, unfortunate. If he knocks them off their bike, unfortunate. It's all same to him.
Doesn't matter. It's part of this that you are also able to sort of recover the bike and keep going forward, like
yeah.
So you're not wiping out or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Harry, tell us about Greg.
Okay, so that happens. When he sees Jackson put the flare on the back of the vehicle, he's starting to sweat a lot, and the clenching on the steering wheel. And he's like, okay, and then he starts moving the armored vehicle over to the left. And I think you said there was like 6 of them, so I think Oscar probably like popped 2 of them off or whatever. And it's going to be a scene of me rolling over and crunching 2 of the ATVs with the armored vehicle. And then he bumps along with like that. And he's like, oh God. Well, okay, that's a couple more to the tally. Okay, I think we're all good.
Nice. Well, I think you were also using your signal jammer, so I'm sort of curious.
Oh yeah, and So then he popped that first, and it caused them to kind of check their comms. That probably helped with throwing them away and getting in the way of. They couldn't dodge out of the way of the armored car, basically, because they're trying to get their comms to work again. So that's how I was able to catch 2 of them at least.
I also wonder if part of the signal jammer was like you were now talking to them, like you were speaking in their ear, and because you're sort of feeling a little panicky in the car, all they're hearing is like ow, e, and and the volume is just slightly too loud, so they're like,
and they get that squelching sound.
That awful like when your headphones does an awful clicking sound.
Yes.
And you don't feel it, but it sounds like it's like pulling at your inner ear. You know what I mean?
Yes, we're going to get them through their audio malfunctions. That was great. Thanks, Harry. And Mark, tell us about your success here.
Yeah, I think that all these things combined just work to, I mean, we're gaining an advantage. Is it okay, Dan, if we effectively take out this little convoy of ATVs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're gone. Yeah.
Okay. So the little convoy of ATVs that we're rolling up, as Oscar drops a couple, the drivers of those ATVs kind of fall off, and Greg starts to bring the armored car over. The light from the magnesium flare is blinding people, and then he drives over a couple more, and then the remaining ATVs, when the signal jammer goes off, they put their hands to their ears, as you're required to do if you've got something going on with your headphones. And then the ATVs all just kind of like pile up on top of one another, incapacitating the remainder.
Yeah, I think what we see is kind of a parting shot of the 3 of you kind of speeding off on your vehicles. I'm sort of picturing Greg like steadying the armored car after it's kind of bumped over some things. And so we're sort of seeing it like bounce a little bit over the dunes. And as you are approaching the oasis, we kind of pull back and we see kind of the tumbled ATVs just sort of littered on the floor of the Sahara there. As you're pulling up, we're going to roll right into the next part of this part of this final battle, which is called the threat. In the threat, two things happen. First, the kind of the big bad, the main bad guy creates some disasters that you could defend against. At the same time, you want to try and seize control. So each of you is going to decide, do you want to defend against these disasters, or do you want to try and seize control of the battlefield, so to speak? And I think the way I want to set this up, maybe you all can help me kind of picture this a little bit, but I wonder if Chloe, what was her name? Chloe Woods was out there videoing you all essentially rolling over these American mercenaries, which would create some very, very bad press for your crew and your ship and your captain, Logan. His name was Logan, right? Logan Walsh Buchanan. Maybe she's operating a remote drone that sort of videoed the entire thing happen. It got some really nice banking shots of you all as well. So one threat is the potential to kind of create this bad press for you all. I think another threat is that Ewan Chambers is there and now has the ear of the leader of the People's Justice. And so you want to potentially try and intervene there to prevent the People's Copper Knife from sort of falling under the sway of Ewan Chambers. And then I think if you were trying to seize, I think what that entails is maybe just getting a lay of the land in terms of what this operation looks like and what their concerns are, so that when you make your final plea to Copper Knife, you have some good ideas as to sort of how to make that argument. That's what occurs to me. So two threats, Chloe Woods and Ewan Chambers, and seizing would be just sort of trying to get a better sense of what's going on with People's Justice. Does that sound fair? Does that sound all right? Does anyone want to add to that?
The one question I had is, okay, so you got the two threats and the ability to take control of the situation. Is the entire contest encompassing all three at once, or do we have to choose between those three?
You choose. So basically, I'll come to each of you and I'll say, do you want to defend against one of the threats, or do you want to seize control?
Okay.
And yeah, it's totally up to you. So if, for example, both of you defend against one of the threats, then the other one will come to pass and we'll work that into the fiction. If none of you seize, then none of you get to get the advantage of winning that seize contest. So
okay. So since there's three of us, we could actually go like one person goes after one person goes after. Okay.
If you want. Yeah. Do you all want to talk it through?
Yeah, because I think Greg's going to try and take care of the Chloe situation.
Yeah, I thought you would, actually. That doesn't surprise me. Seizing, I think, so Dan, seizing the battlefield or whatever it is worth a D10, right?
Yes. Let's see. Okay. If the heroes win, they decide what's at stake. Actually, it's not. Yeah. Let me rewind a little bit. You've all earned a D10 from winning the clash. So
okay.
You all have a D10 you can use in this contest or the next contest. The winner of Seize determines what's at stake. So basically, you get to narrate what happens at the end, and you will also determine the domain of the finale as well. Does that answer your question, Mark?
Totally.
Yes.
So everybody else, that makes sense to everyone. So, Matthew, is there anything particular you wanted to that jumped out at you?
No, wait. So, Greg is going to take care of the Chloe situation, and you were angling what?
I haven't yet. I haven't decided. I'm kind of torn because on the one hand, I think that so you are strong with politics and communication. It seems like you might be able to wedge yourself in between,
You and Chambers.
yeah, and Copper Knife. I could certainly do that as well or separate from you because I have some background that I can fictionally leverage.
You've got a relationship,
Right.
presumably with you.
Oh, that's spicier to leverage. I think you should do that.
Okay. I will do that. So I'll try to interfere with Copper Knife and Ewan Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar, that leaves you to, I mean, you can help with one of those, you can do one of those, or you can try and seize the battlefield, which I think in this case means trying to get a sense of the People's Justice operation so that you can, whatever it's sort of the finale entails, you are well set up to kind of make an argument that they should change their ways, try not to hurt folks. I don't know what that looks like, but I think this is sort of like an information gathering or maybe even an interviewing some of the other folks at People's Justice.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Okay.
I just had a suggestion for Oscar as well, though, because he has an engineering background. When you're seizing the situation, you can probably see what exactly is going on here or something, and you might be able to explain it to us. Something along those lines.
Wait, sorry. I'll try to understand that sentence. Engineering to determine what again precisely?
Exactly what the situation is here. So we don't know exactly what Ewan Chambers' goal with talking with Copper Knife is. So understanding why they're so interested in what's going on, you might be able to get that lay of the land and explain it. Or something along those lines.
Yeah. Let me see what I can find out.
So for better or for worse, this is essentially 3 separate contests that we're rolling. So this part will take a while because I have to roll 3 different times. So my inclination, we have to do the defends first and then the seize last. So what I'll do is I'll go in reverse character keeper order, which Mark puts you in the hot seat first. I think we see, as you all kind of pull up, we see Chloe off to one side, kind of recording, dealing with the equipment to try and upload the stuff. But what you notice, Jackson, is Ewan Chambers standing next to Copper Knife, kind of shaking his head, talking quietly to him. And Copper Knife looks, this is a, freedom fighter type person. But even he looks a little, what's the right word? Not disgusted, but a little repulsed by the carnage that he just saw. So Jackson, what are you going to do to intervene here?
Quick question. I am going to do this straight away, but since I marked that dedication, do I get what in the Aegon is a boon? Can I advance a domain die?
Oh, yeah.
Or an epithet die? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Epithet die. So yeah. I'm going to advance. I'm going to advance my epithet die to a D8, if that's acceptable.
Yes. Okay. That's your value. Yep. Good.
Yeah, my value. Thank you. Okay, so I think that I am going to. Okay, so here's my approach. Since Chambers is talking to Copper Knife, I'm going to appeal to Copper Knife, and I'm going to say, here's the situation. Here's what you have in this natural world. You just told us recently that you don't want interference from Western powers, and we, if you get into bed with Ewan Chambers here, you're just going down that path. He's just going to exploit you. He has a background of doing this. He's not interested in helping your cause. He's not interested in having this come to a peaceful and equitable solution. Conclusion is the word I'm looking for. And some other things that would be fancy things that a person would say if they were, smart.
Yeah. If they were actually
a smart person.
Scientist.
Yes.
And not whatever it is.
And not just me. Yes.
What? So do you want to activate your complication?
Yeah, I do. At the six point. You know what? Nah. I'm going to 10. I'm going to 10 points.
Not to 50. All right, so that means I'm adding a D12, my friend.
Hold on a second. I'm going to consult with Harry since he's here. Harry? Does that seem like a really bad idea?
Your luck's been pretty good, so yeah. Just pray that the roller goes against him.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the 10 complication duty.
That gives you 10 glory or 10 duty. Whatever.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
Gets you to 80, over 80.
Yep.
Actually lets you bump up your function die to a D8.
Oh, outstanding.
So that was not a bad play, because now you're rolling with at least 2d8.
Yes.
All right. So, and then I don't think I need to ask anything else at this point. So I'm rolling a lot of big dice. Let's see where that takes me. But I rolled poorly. So for Jackson's threat, the difficulty is 11.
Oh, you don't add the threat die or the threat value or whatever it is?
I did. So I took the highest number, 6, and I added 5.
Oh, you only take the single highest number. Okay. Yeah, I'm just not being very bright. Okay, outstanding.
Yeah. So
like you're not happy with results.
I know.
I mean, I could add more of those.
No. I just misunderstood. Oh God, please don't add more. Okay.
I don't watch. Bless you. I don't watch a lot of actual plays, but I do wonder, as much laughing as we do in these games, is that fun for people to watch, or is that annoying? But
I think that people generally like to see other people enjoying themselves,
having fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Instead of being very.
As a group psychologist, I'm going to tell you that people have an empathetic response to laughter. It might be subtracted from the watchability of the experience. Like if there's too much laughing, it just goes over that line. Right. But otherwise, if you see someone laugh, they're more inclined to laugh as well.
I always resented having to sit through, when I was watching these things or listening to these things, like a lot of in-jokes. That part.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you for that detour. Mark, you are putting together a dice pool that seems like it will be fairly strong. So want to walk through that, or you got it?
Well, we'll do it together real quick if you don't mind. So I'm going to take science. That's part of the argument. Natural world. I guess my domain here would probably be politics and communication.
Yep.
I'm not going to take a strength, which is bad news because usually I need that D4. I'll take that momentum die that I just gained though. And let's see, that already happened for the complication. I burned all my bonds.
Yeah.
I've got no dedication. I don't think I have anything else left to spend. Oh, wait. No, I can spend a stress to add another domain.
You don't have any stress.
But I can mark a fate and a dedication instead, right?
I guess you can. Yeah.
And let's see, what does it say?
Yeah.
When you take fate, mark dedication in lieu of fate. Let's see.
I never understood that rule. Like, well, what's the point?
I think that the point is that you're so stressed out that you start going into all your fate points. That's my understanding of it, but
okay.
I'm going to do it now, and we can change it after I succeed. Okay, so I'm going to add my science and technology.
D8.
DA. D8. Okay, so should I go ahead and roll this now?
Well, let me ask you one question. You did earn a D10 in the clash. Do you want to use that now, or are you going to save it for the finale?
I take my 2 highest die and I need to reach an 11, right?
Right.
Gosh.
Seems very feasible with 3D8 in the pool.
Yeah, one would hope, but I'll save that D10.
All right. You might as well roll because we are doing this individually.
Oh boy.
Ooh, just a narrow. Oh no, you squeaked it out.
I did. I got an 11. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's save the narration for the end, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So we can do everyone's. Actually, what we'll do is we'll do everyone's rolls,
Mhm.
and we'll take our break a little later, and then we'll come back and do the narration, if that's all right with everyone. So, Harry, you are up. You are dealing with the threat of Chloe Woods.
Yeah.
And she is like, as soon as you come walking up, she's like, I saw what you did. You said you guys were being more peaceful. I saw what you did. This is going up to the internet now.
Can I retool that just a little bit? I'm rolling down the armored car window or whatever as she's coming up to me, and I'm just looking at her and doing this every once in a while. I can't hear you, and then on my lap I have my laptop going, and I'm like, okay, young lady, let's just see who gets what to the internet. And I think what you see is one of our drones in the back of the armored vehicle activating and flying out the back and going up to try and intercept hers.
Nice.
While I'm working on the signal that she's trying to get out.
Fantastic. That's great stuff. Okay. Do you want to activate your complication?
Yeah, I still don't think the complication is quite working in this for him.
I mean, we can always figure out how if you want to. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I think it's a more social situation where it would be a little bit more like emotional, hitting him in the heart. He doesn't really feel sorry for her since she's trying to smear our name across the internet.
Her visage is not reminiscent of your daughter's.
Yeah.
All right. So roll for her.
Okay.
And well, her I rolled pretty well. So your threat is now a 13.
All righty. Let's see here. So I get function communications a 6. Revenge still kicking in 6. I think this might be more along the lines of support logistics because of it's basically a computer fight. That's a D8. I'm gonna mark a stress that takes me up to the 5th, which will let me add the combat tactics to cover me flying our drone into her drone. I'm gonna spend my last strength of computer science because that's definitely gonna kick in for the fight. So that's a D4. I'm still going to save the bond with Jackson for the final clash, but I am going to spend my D10 momentum die.
Good idea.
Okay, so that puts me up at a D10, 3D6, a D8, and a D4.
That's what I got.
Okay.
That should do. I mean, you do have another D10 if you wanted to roll it from the
clash. Yeah, I'm going to save that one for the finale.
That makes sense.
All right. So go ahead and roll that.
Please.
Come on, roller. Let's see here. 2 from there, 10, 12. So I think I missed.
No. You've got
2, 6, 12 plus 2 is 14.
14.
Okay.
Yeah, you did great. Right. Greg's roll is a 12. A 14. Nice. By the way, Jackson, you can add that 11 to your duty, and Greg, you can add that 13 to your duty. And I should decide because there's not really a best here necessarily. Whether you should be able to add momentum on these, because technically you could mark momentum here. Matthew, we're up to you on C's. Are you ready for us, or do you want us to take our break? Oh, Matthew says he's just making coffee. Matthew, you're also muted. So you stepped away and you muted yourself so you can hear me in your ears.
Spooked out. I was like, how does he know I'm making coffee if I'm muted when I'm saying I'm making coffee? Then I remembered out of a text message. Yo. Yeah. No. What's the situation here? It's in the village, right? And
Yes.
And People's Justice.
Yeah. So talk to me about how you go about kind of scoping things out here. How are you seizing an opportunity here?
So, other than us, which particular members of the other groups are in the People's Justice area, or is it just the People's Justice?
I think it's just People's Justice, and I think just eyeballing it, you see maybe, let's call it a dozen. Like there, folks just around. You suspect there's probably more around in this camp, and I think it looks like a fairly well-stocked camp and almost a village of folks, not just sort of tough people, tough adults, but kind of, almost a fully fledged village of people.
So, if I understand the way our relationships are positioned, People's Justice wouldn't mind if I just traipsed into the camp and behaved as my usual loquacious self.
I mean, they are very suspicious of Westerners, and if I remember correctly, Oscar is British.
He is British.
So, and certainly dressed in Western manner. So maybe, so I don't know. I think you would be tailed, right? You would be sort of like escorted by guards. I think you've earned their respect a little bit because you just shot the hell out of a bunch of Americans, which I think gives you a little bit of respect. But they are definitely keeping an eye on you.
I think Oscar would definitely play the fool in the situation by coming in, sort of like tie loosened and with a bottle of whatever good alcohol he could find in the let's say, yeah, the bottle of alcohol found in the camp or in the armored vehicle.
Yep.
You know what? Maybe he already has like a large, it's not a whole liter, but it's a larger hip flask with him. Yeah.
That seems in character. Yeah.
Yeah. And he tries to, sort of establish some kind of rapport with them
I like it.
through drinking.
I like it. All right, so I'm going to roll. Do you want to activate your complication at all?
Just mechanically, when I activate the complication, I'm a little worried because I got a boon from that, but I felt like there was no consequence, or was that supposed to be designed as intended?
The consequence is I get to add a die to my pool, so it's.
Well, that's right. That's a straight up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. So it could make the difficulty higher in some cases. Like I think it was Jackson just let me add a D12 and it did nothing.
That's right. I'd say the complication doesn't come into play here, but okay. Before he walks into camp, Oscar definitely wipes the blood from his nostril.
Okay, interesting. All right, so I'm going to roll for the camp. And wow, I rolled another 8. So your difficulty is also a 13.
All right. I'd say this is a politics and communication die. Oh, wait, are we adding them up now? We are, right?
Yeah, so we'll build the pool now. So you get you automatically get your function die.
Yep. D8, D6. I'd say D6 again for the sake of saying, trying to like um, bring my haughty, decadent Western self in alignment, with these people, fighting for justice.
That's your equality value. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see myself any better than them, and that's absolutely true. Oscar does not.
Right.
Although every time he says it, it comes off as incredibly insincere.
Just doesn't know
But it's
how
not.
to say things in a sincere way. That is
Exactly.
very
Yeah.
British too.
Yeah. So that's 2d6 and a d8. And then I'd say, huh, I'd say, let's go with slippery. Let's go with slippery. We'll use that, and we'll say that Oscar's sort of like when he converses with them, he's very elusive, and it's very hard for people to sort of like trap him in his own words. And it has happened to him before, fumbling and cornering himself in a conversation.
I love it.
Yeah. So
And
we
then
have the 2d6,
so we
1d8, and a
a
d4.
D4. And then you've got a momentum die there. You can spend to add another D6 if you like.
Sure, let's do that. And that's a 3d6 plus 1d8 plus 1d4.
Yep. And then you could spend a bond to get another D6 or mark a stress to get a D8.
Let's see.
I'm
I
sorry,
think
sorry, to get a D6. Sorry, you'd mark a stress to get a D6. Sorry about that.
I like to use a bond, but all my bonds are with Kara, and I don't know how to rationalize that.
I think that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. So we're in the
All right,
final throes of these battles. So we're going to reset all of these things anyway, very shortly.
All right.
So,
hand waving that one. And all right. So a bond is an additional D4, I believe.
D6. Yeah.
Oh, D6.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm up to 46, a D8 and a D4. And then if you mark a stress, you can get yet another D6 because you've already got.
All right. You said I can mark stress twice, so I feel a little pressure there.
Hey,
let's go. Let's do it.
You can mark stress. All right. I'm up to 5D6, D8, and D4.
All right.
Let's see what you got.
All right. So do we roll now or after?
Yes. Yeah. Because each of these contests is individual. We're rolling. So go for it.
All right. Let's see. That is a 5 and a 6. 11 plus the D4 is a 14.
You did it.
All right.
Oscar rolled. Wow. We all did it. All right. Friends, I've got 17 past the hour. Let's take 10. Reconvene at 27 past the hour, and we will narrate this threat scene. Sound good? Cool. I'll see you in 10. You can tell it's been a while since I've done this because I did not pause the recording. So there's a 10-minute lull. Sorry, Mom. She's the only one who watches these. All right, so let's talk about how Jackson overcame the threat of Ewan Chambers insinuating himself into Copperknife's good graces.
Yeah, so I think that it's just persuasion and some appeal to Copperknife's better nature and his existing bias against Westerners coming into his area and messing with them. And I think that eventually he at first he's just brushing Jackson off. Eventually he listens more and more, and Ewan's trying to make different arguments at the same time, but eventually Copperknife's a smart person and he goes along with the person who has the better argument.
I also feel like I had this idea as you were talking. Mark, what do you think of this? Like, I think you also kind of bring in your sort of change of heart that you had, and that that you understand where Copperknife is coming from, because although the money that Ewan Chambers offers is very tempting and Copperknife would be able to do a lot with that, that at the end it would be amounting to sort of selling his soul, and whatever good he would do with that money, he would end up sort of feeling like he has really just sold out his cause too. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what speaks to him, like this idea, like, if we're on the side of justice, we don't need money in that.
Right.
We don't need dirty money, right? Or money that comes with strings. So
makes sense.
That's cool. I love it. Greg, tell us about how you overcame the threat of Chloe Woods bringing down your entire operation.
Okay. I kind of see it like she's right up next to him by the armored car, and they're he's looking down at her while it's happening, and it's kind of superimposed like a stereotypical hacker fight where the camera's on her, she's on her device really quick, then the camera flashes back to him, and he's on his device, but he's actually not even looking at his keyboard, he's just looking at her, and then he's telling her everything that he's doing as he's doing it. Nice. And I think he gets at least one quip in, is like, I don't know why this latest generation wants to put all of their eggs in one basket. This cloud thing. I mean, it's just preposterous. And then you see up in the sky a small explosion as the drone runs into her drone and it blows up. And he's like, and he hits enter, and he like takes a deep breath. He's like, and that's how it's done, young Padawan. But as he says the Padawan word, he actually kind of bites his lip, and you see him kind of strain a little bit, and he just looks kind of down, and you see like a tear starting to crawl down his face as he just goes back to a memory, and he's like, that was Georgina's favorite movie.
Nice. That was a nice moment. I love that. I also wonder, I don't know, for some reason I have a soft spot for Chloe Woods. I just think she's just trying to do her best. And maybe Greg also sort of dangles, there's another story here that isn't the crew of, what is this ship called again? The Morrigan. And if you just wait, you'll get this story too.
Yeah, I told you back at the village. Right. I had a story for you. I gave you the lead and everything.
Yes. You're always rushing in with lightsabers drawn. Just yes, love it. That was great. Matthew, Oscar has seized the situation. What advantage did Oscar gain for the group?
Um, I think, well, the goal was to learn more about like the group, right?
Yeah, I think you were just trying. Yeah, I think you were trying to gain some information so that now in this final appeal to Copper Knife, whatever this finale looks like, you've got some leverage. And I don't know what that is. Do you have any ideas? Any kind of notion of what that could be? Is it some hint as to what this overall conspiracy is? Is it some weakness in people's justice that you all may be able to help with? Is it a new angle for people's justice to take besides trying to thwart the green wall? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'll admit that that my cells still aren't fully activated by caffeine, but I think the direction I want to go with this is the sort of like finding a new angle for people's justice to leverage their struggle that they hadn't considered. So I'm just having trouble like imagining what that would be. Um,
I don't know. Anyone have any ideas?
I guess maybe the people of, what's the name of this country again? The people of this country actually have a very 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 overlooked um, old treaty that that we're discussing the history. Okay, we're discussing the history of this country, right? People's justice, and in that they say like, oh, these people came over here and that person came over here, and this is the nature of our country's long struggle for economic independence and all that stuff. And I think it's in that moment that Oscar like catches like a bit of that history that maybe he would have learned like in the history books um that he's able to say like, oh, okay, these colonizers signed this agreement or whatever,
Right.
that agreement, and by that law, the territory that Greenwall wants to set foot in is actually not just protected on behalf of the sovereignty of this nation, but it's actually protected under the parameters of I'd say, I guess, Britain or America, depending
Yeah.
on which country is involved in this. So even if they were to ignore the legitimacy of the government and of the people here, it's like, no, actually your own laws recognize it in this very specific situation.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can call the fucking international peacekeepers and UN or whoever on your ass if you don't recognize that.
Well,
And
it was sort of, I had positioned it as like the UN was interfering, and UN was kind of like this I don't know, sort of puppet of Western hegemony.
That's right. That's right.
But I like the idea of you sort of getting this idea of how can this group reclaim their independence. It makes me wonder if the Morrigan can enter into an arrangement with this group to get them supplies that they need without them feeling like they are now sort of beholden to, this kind of Western hegemony. Like they can sort of use the legal mechanism that you found.
Yeah.
Take the UN out, but the Morgan can be there to continue to support them.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that too. Yeah.
All right. So what is this? I think the final confrontation is not a battle, right? It's a conversation with Copper Knife to kind of help Copper Knife like see the opportunities in front of him that maybe initially I'd sort of positioned this group, People's Justice, as engaged in a lot of illegal activity, which maybe they are, but maybe and you all kind of see an opportunity to help them integrate with the work of the Green Wall Project, so that they can work together. I don't know if that's too kind of sort of silly, optimistic, or is there some other kind of plea that you all want to make to Copper Knife. I mean, I think he's ready to give all these Westerners the heave ho. So maybe this final confrontation is the crew of the Morrigan establishing a deal to help them kind of get rid of all the other Westerners. I don't know, Mark, do you have any other ideas you want to add to that?
No, I think that's a great idea. And I think that if not specifically the Morrigan, then certainly, I'm sure we have some contacts who can help out as well.
Oh, I like that. I think that's better.
All of us, we can certainly make it happen, I would think.
Yeah, you've kind of encountered a lot of similar small groups. And so you can sort of act as the connector to kind of pull those, introduce those groups to each other. I kind of like that. That's really cool. I don't know, Harry or Matthew, do you want to add anything to that?
I think that's pretty on the head. I think that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think maybe Copper Knife, I think just to sort of build the tension, maybe Copper Knife is like, all right, now that sort of I've got you in chambers out of my hair, I'm going to go orchestrate another attack against the village. So in a sense, you are sort of trying to talk them out of that and trying to establish kind of a maybe a better long-term strategy. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right. So we are here in the finale. The winner of the Seas contest, that was Matthew, gets to determine the domain of the finale. So which of the 4 domains will we be rolling for the finale, Matthew?
I mean, like the finale is us bringing all of this stuff together to sort of reclaim everything, right? So how about like coincidentally, that really sounds like politics and communication. It does. Like,
I don't think that's self-serving at all. I completely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But and then you sort of decide what's at stake for the opponent. So you can decide what's at stake for Copper Knife himself, or just for people's justice overall. You basically say, what if you all win, what happens to them?
I mean, is it a little cliche or lame? Maybe say we get, everybody, all the good guys get what they wanted, and the bad guys get their asses hauled off to the border or to ocean.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the crew of the Morrigan kind of oversees the withdrawal of the UN, right? And
yeah. This little ship, well, not that little, but this little ship.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, great. So meanwhile, Copper Knife is like, nope, you all make really good points, but violence is really the only way any of these big Western powers is going to listen to us. So we're going to, the trees are doing important work, but they don't get my people fed, right? So that's Copper Knife's position. I'm going to roll for him. Before we do that, do any of you want to activate your complications to let me roll more dice?
Yeah, let's do it. I will activate a D. Is it a D6? Yeah.
Well, it depends on how much. You can do a D8, D10, or D12, and that will earn you more duty points. So
I'll go with a 6.
All right, that lets me add a D8.
Yeah.
You can add 6 duty to your duty number there.
Yeah. Sorry. How much duty did we earn on the last set of roll? Oh no, we're still about to roll.
Yeah, I think hopefully you all added. It looks like you did all add your duty from the threat roll. So, Greg or Jackson, does your complication come into play here?
I'm not going to do it this time.
No. All right.
I guess he did start remembering his daughter right there at the tail end of the last little scene. But I think that'll just present itself as Greg's just not quite is up on the ball as much as he normally is, and I'll just go with the 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I realized since you're saying it, Greg, I forgot to declare my own like description for affliction. Yeah, and let's just say like, it was inadvisable to drink even just that little during the whole situation, and it's got Oscar's nerves sort of like shaken, so he's got like, he's got tremors in his hand and all that stuff.
Right.
And
Also, this is now like officially a very delicate situation.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar is sort of on the hot seat in a little bit to kind of to perform here. Actually, before I roll, I should ask you all, what role are each of you playing in this conversation? So, Oscar, let me start with you. What are you, as we're talking, as your group is talking to Copper Knife, what is your attitude? What's your approach here? How are you framing this?
I think this is sort of supposed to be like persuading Copper Knife, right? And I think what his approach is something like sort of a sense of urgency, where the case that we're trying to make here is that if we do not like make the right decision now, it will set a precedent, it will set a tone for relationships that will go away into the future. And while it's very tempting to like fight back with violence in the language that only Westerners or colonizers or imperialists like understand, they will always respond in kind, and that's just gonna be a losing battle.
Nice. That's great. Love it.
As opposed to stringing them up under moral high horse.
Right.
Yeah.
Greg, what role do you play in all of this?
I think that again, he's falling back on his normal pattern of thinking of how he can use his technology to help them. I think he would throw up a very quick, what's called really bare bones PowerPoint presentation slideshow on the laptop, and the ideas that he'll be showing is like a list of things like grassroots support from what's called Westerners that don't want a piece of the power. Maybe microloan programs that to which call get businesses up and running with you, some way to get legitimacy for your organization, stuff like that. He's just popping off just ideas as he's like almost like word vomit as he throws them, and he keeps looking at Jackson like, yeah, man, come on, yeah, this will work.
I feel like also he's like at the last minute he realized he used the ExxonMobil template from PowerPoint, and he was like, wait, I gotta erase that. But maybe you've got some IP from ExxonMobil that's like, it shows sort of some of the connections between like fossil fuel industry and other groups and the UN, and so it's like you sort of paint this picture of Western hegemony.
Yeah, and how you can navigate through it and use it. The hegemony against itself.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
That's all any of us really want.
Oh yeah.
And Jackson, what role are you playing in all this?
So I think that Jackson is going to start by asking Copper Knife if they have a son or daughter.
Oh wow, you're going right there.
Yeah. And once I determine that Copper Knife is actually a grandfather,
nice.
I talk about the world that we can imagine for his grandchildren. Specifically, I talk about how the Project Greenwall will buy additional time for generations to continue to live in this area, and how they will be able to produce more food on their own, on their own as time goes by, become more self-sufficient so they don't have to rely on on Westerners or anyone outside of the area really to help them so much.
Nice.
So I think it's like he hones in on then after that emotional appeal, the science behind how these things will work going forward, and some projections for how far down they can look.
Yeah, I also feel like you could sort of make this really interesting case that some of the illicit activity that they're engaged with doesn't have kind of a longevity to it, whereas like sort of more sustainable investments and projects will keep his families fed for a while. I love that. That's great. I'm moved by our own story. All right, so I'm going to roll to find difficulty, and look at you, lucky friends. I rolled, my highest was a 7. So in the finale, the difficulty is a 12. All right, remember, you all have a D10 you can spend, and there's no reason to keep it, so no way to keep it. So you're all at least adding a D10 to your pools. Matthew, should we walk through creating a pool for you?
Yeah. All right. So D6, D8 for politics and communication. Epithet die. I think we're invoking this because it's about sort of like bridging the terms of negotiation and conversation between the aggrieved party and the aggressors. So that's D6, D6, D8. I'd say, I'm going to fiddle it a little bit, tap into resource extraction and say that experience gathered from, talking with different parties involved in the claiming of assets and resources in a given territory. Like that kind of like conversational skill like comes into play. So we're talking 2d6, 1d8, and a d4. Let me write that down before I forget.
I got it right here on my hands.
And then we are looking at, let's see. I'd say it gets, since I invoked the complication, I like to say we invoke the stress. So, because that's not great. So we're adding another d6, and
you got a momentum die there. You can spend that d6. And then you've got a d10 that you can add from winning the clash early on.
All right. So wait, I got a D10 momentum earlier, you said?
No, it's no. Don't check that. By winning the clash, which was sort of the very first roll, you get a D10 out of that. So just by winning that, yeah.
All right. So it's a situational GM granted bonus.
Right.
Got it. Okay. I've added. Yeah. Let's see. The bonds add again what? D4?
You would add a D6 for Kara.
Okay. All right. I must be making the most awful concentration face now. There we go. And de-stress is added. That's added already.
Yep.
All right.
Let
me I know which dice we're doing, so I'll just make sure all these numbers are correct while you take care of the rest of the gang.
Sounds good. Harry, let's put together Greg's pool.
All right. So one question I had is I marked the 5th stress during the clash. And so that's the first point of dedication to take in advance. Do I get that before this roll, or do I have to wait? Okay,
yes.
So is it any of these advancements that are on the character sheet, or?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and advance a value of my revenge to D8.
Perfect.
Okay, so communication for the function is automatic. Revenge, sticking it to the man on a much larger scale, hopefully for these people's benefit. So that's a D8. Now, the domain was politics and communication, correct?
Right.
So that's a D6. I can't mark stress to get another domain die because that's gone, and I already spent my momentum, so that's gone.
But as Mark pointed out, you can mark another dedication in lieu of stress.
Okay.
To add your domain, your D8 domain.
Yeah. So I'll add support and logistics. All my strengths that are gone, but I will spend the bond with Jackson for a D6 for I'm bouncing ideas off of him. He's bouncing ideas back to me for my small. You actually
get a D8 for that because you use Jackson's function die. So you are now rolling through. I'm counting 3 D8.
D8 and 2 D6.
6
and D10 for the clash.
Right.
Die. All right. So yeah, I think that's good.
I think you're okay.
Yeah.
3 to 12 there. Cool. That was great. Mark, you're up.
Okay, so I'll take the D8 for science and D8 for natural world.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, what was the domain set to?
Politics.
Okay, so I'll take the D6 there. And not taking any of those things, nothing there. I'm going to take one more dedication to bring science and technology in as a domain. So I've got 3D8 and a D6.
Yep, and a D10.
And the D10, sorry.
From the clash.
All right, cool.
All right. Are we ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, why don't you hit it?
Every time you say the clash, punk rock starts playing in my head. I just want to say, I'm sure I'm not the only person thinking it. All right. 1d10 plus 5d6 plus 1d8 plus 1d4. Let's go. That is a... Oh! What are those numbers?
Squeaked it out.
13.
Yeah.
11. Oh God, dear Lord.
Yeah. So your D10 rolled a 5, and one of your D6s rolled a 6. So that gives you 11. Plus your D4, which is 2. So you got it with a 13. So nice work. Not that you did anything particular for that. You just chose a lot of dice. Harry, you want to roll?
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah. I keep hearing rock the Casbah. Yeah, it's just okay. Let's see here. Come on. Ugh. Nope. 9.
D10.
Yeah.
I see a 9. That's okay. It's a final. It's the finale. Can't go perfect every time. All right, Jackson. Whoa. That's maybe the highest roll I've ever seen. All right.
That was all me, by the way, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, you
just
obviously worked for that one. Yeah. All right. So the way this works, because we haven't really had to do this this session, is whoever rolled lowest narrates their suffering first. And Harry, the way you can narrate this is maybe you did succeed, but there was something happened, right? There was some kind of suffering some cost to you. So as you sort of think about exactly what your role was and what you wanted to do, maybe there was some success with a cost is one way of doing that. So we'll do Greg first, then Oscar, then Jackson. So Harry, why don't you kick us off?
All right. So as he's doing, the word vomit and throwing ideas back and forth, he starts to break down, like 3 to 4 minutes into it, or whatever, and he's just starting to almost bawl hysterically as he's fighting the memory nugget that I hid him from his daughter, and it's just getting in the way of the work. So if you can imagine Ron Perlman sitting there crying his eyes out as he's throwing these ideas out, which they're good ideas, but maybe Copper Knife's looking at him like, what's the matter with this guy?
Right. Well, and I think it's like another white guy trying to show me a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
I'm just
Haven't seen that one before.
you're not you. I mean, I get that you're passionate about this, but it's not working for me. All right, that's great. Oscar, you're up.
Yeah. Sorry. What did I do? I thought I did nothing.
You were successful, so you beat the difficulty. So whatever you were teeing up, however you wanted to frame this argument, kind of got through to Copper Knife.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't think of anything. My flaw, Dan, is sometimes I get so impassioned about the description before I roll. that's my
You
fucking
got your
problem.
load. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. What do you think especially resonated with Copper Knife as you sort of describe your kind of this kind of legal opportunity that you discovered in the previous contest, and this sort of starting to frame up how they might separate themselves? What is it? Do you sense that there's one aspect that especially resonates?
I think what resonates is definitely the idea that of being able to push back in a way that the people who are pushing up on you did not expect. So and sort of like harnessing all of that, pent up energy from frustration, and just sort of like being able to make other people feel that frustration you've had. And when that ideal sort of like hits upon Copper Knife, I think, is it she or a he?
He, yeah.
He. Copper Knife, sort of feels like, oh yeah, we can finally sort of like, force them to confront the language they use, that kind of thing.
Nice. All right, Jackson, bring us home.
So I think that I kind of like pre-explained this, I guess, but I think that it just leans into the family connection, the future, and seeing how things can be better if they use the resources that are available in the correct way now. No PowerPoint, just talk. And hopefully that gets it across to them.
I wonder if his grandchild is actually kind of more young adult.
Oh my gosh.
I have this very cheesy scene playing out in my head where his granddaughter, who's maybe 19 or something, or early 20s, kind of arrives with Najuma, the head of the Green Wall.
Yeah.
Project. And she's like, "Grandfather, I want you to sit down and let's talk about how we build a future together." And then that scene ends and we see you all kind of boarding the Morrigan again.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I love that.
We did it. We finished a mission. That was awesome. Here are my thoughts. Aegon, the game, calls for these kind of interesting interludes between islands, between missions. And I haven't really documented what that is in this game, but I would like maybe us to sort of imagine ourselves on the ship and heading off towards another mission, and just all of you kind of debriefing about it. And then we'll use that time to kind of reset all of our counters and things. And then let's maybe talk about what next mission we want to play. We only have one session, but I'm wondering if we can we were able to do quite a few contests in this last couple of hours. I don't know that we'll fit a whole mission in, but maybe we can talk about doing some miniaturized version, if that's okay with you all. So figure out what we want to do next, and then do stars and wishes. Would that be okay? Would that sound all right?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about getting back on the ship. Jackson, what do you do to unwind when you're on the ship?
I think there's a dartboard on the ship that has been there. It's been there for as long as the ship has been around.
You can't even see the colors on it anymore.
Yeah, it's extremely destroyed. You can't even really read the numbers anymore. People have used knives and axes on it, and who knows what else in the past, as the ship has gone through its many incarnations. I think that he hits the dartboard, and he has some drinks. He drinks some whiskey, and if he can convince somebody else to join him for darts, then all the better. And it's much more relaxing when there's somebody to share it with. So that's what he's doing to unwind right now.
Nice. Oscar, Greg, darts, is that your thing? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, not to be like two things kind of situation, but am I stuttering?
You're good.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm up two minds. One is that Oscar is probably inclined to spend his downtime listening to self-help meditation podcasts, but when he's done, yeah, he'll join in the darts.
That's awesome. I'm going to say you all, you two can each take a bond with each other.
Nice.
As you are playing darts. According to the Agon rules, you would sort of each ask each other a question. So, Oscar, what might you ask Jackson?
Can we come around to that one?
Yeah. Jackson, do you have
Yeah.
a question you want to ask Oscar?
Yeah, I think, I know Oscar's been dealing with a lot of issues related to his health, and I think that I think that Jackson asks, at what point are you now? Is this a terminal situation for you?
Is Oscar's illness known to others? Or is it maybe that's Jackson, the doctor-ish scientist, sort of picked up on?
If you're asking me, I'd say it's sort of an open secret.
Okay.
Like he makes it a point to avoid it in conversation, change the subject, dodge it around, but people learn about it eventually, especially with the nosebleeds and all that stuff.
Close quarters on a ship.
Yeah.
Oscar, how do you respond?
And I think most people are too polite to comment on it. Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah. Sorry, because we're all no. I wasn't saying that Jackson's impolite. I mean, he is.
No. Which would also be funny though.
Yeah, but it's just we're all in this. Well, this is not an Oscar voice. I'm not gonna say that we're all in this vote together. We all have our different reasons for being here. But anyway, Oscar's response is, I don't know. You tell me, Doc. I'm prepared to go any day. The question I have to ask you is, do you think it's better? Do you think it's better to go peacefully, or to go out, in a blaze? As the rock stars would say, burn out, better to burn out or fade away.
Yeah. That's an important question, and I think everyone has to answer it themselves. For myself, I think that I'd like to end my days sitting on a rocker on the coast in California, and having a nice drink and just having a nap in the rocker and going that way. But some people aren't cut out for that. Some people need a blaze of glory.
That's the real problem in it. I don't have anything to lose.
I can understand where you're coming from. I guess you have to ask yourself, at what point have I done all the work that I can do?
So I'm going to come to Greg. Now, Greg, what are you doing to unwind?
Okay. Well, I foresee him when he gets back to the ship that he's in pretty bad shape. I think all the events of the past, 24 hours or so are hitting him pretty hard. Probably see him in the shower as he's trying to get his composure back. When he comes out, he sees the Oscar and Jackson playing darts, and he takes a deep breath, and then he goes over to the side part of the galley, and he kind of sits down, and he pulls out the one little janky TV that they have. He sets it up, and then he pulls out it's one of those little combo ones, VHS player and a TV in one. Pulls out an old VHS tape, throws it in, and then sits there and watches. Yes, The Phantom Menace. and as crew members come by and stuff like that, he tries to start conversations with people as they come by and says, "Hey man, watch this part. It's really good. I swear, it's really good." And he's just trying to rope people into watching this movie and to try and expound on how perfect of a Star Wars movie it was, even though it wasn't.
That is hardcore. He's got The Phantom Menace on VHS.
Yeah.
Amazing. I guess Oscar or Jackson, do you get drawn into The Phantom Menace? Your characters, obviously, not you in real life.
Well, I might be. I will. I'll sit down after a while, just set the darts aside and sit on the edge of the table and pour a whiskey for Greg if he'll take one, and make sure that I'm there for the duel of the fates.
I don't know if you're gonna enjoy that movie because Oscar's gonna be asking questions all the time.
Oh no, Greg's awesome. He's like, yeah, he'll do the whole conversation and answer any of the little trivias that you need.
Yeah, because Greg has graduated from I have watched this 8 times to I have now watched this to 20 times, to the point wherein I'm just here to answer all the trivia questions and explain all the stuff. It's like that. He's like that guy who watches Lord of the Rings with you and is all like, and absolutely must tell you that Viggo Mortensen injured his foot when he kicked the helmet.
I think I live with people like that. Yeah. So why don't Greg, you take a bond with each Oscar and Jackson, and Jackson and Oscar can take a bond with Greg as well. Is there one Jackson? Is there one asset or item or piece of knowledge that you recovered from this mission? So this is sort of the equivalent of the great deeds. What is one thing that you took away from this mission? You can add it to your list of assets. You are muted.
I'm still going to think about it.
You got to think about it?
Yeah.
All right. Harry, it looks like Greg got himself a sat phone out of the deal.
Yeah.
But you can reset both of those. Now, was there anything else that you feel like maybe Greg got out of this mission?
As an asset, maybe a connection with Chloe, even at the end or whatever, as a contact that we might be able to use for PR purposes.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, you feel free to add that to, or I can write that into your assets. So contact at vice.com.
When Greg says, character references, Oscar asked, what, you're going to ask her to write you a recommendation letter?
Well, no, you never know when the press can be used, if they are showed the right way. And And I think her heart was in the right place, but I think we can show her, where she needs to focus her attention. And if, Vice can help us, hey, more power for us.
And Matthew, what do you think of Oscar? Is there anything he recovered, any asset that he retrieved, or any information he learned that he can add to his list of assets?
Yeah, I think maybe something to do with the people's justice, like maybe they can provide a direct line to supplies on this continent, whether it's so basically gear trafficking or whatever from this territory.
Yeah, I like it. So I guess we could say contacts in Western Africa.
Yeah,
that's great. Mark, I'm back at you. You have any ideas?
Nothing great, but I think that I think it's something related to Ewan Chambers.
Oh, nice.
And I'm kind of like trying to toss some ideas around. So Harry or Matthew, Dan, obviously, if you guys have some ideas, let me know. The first thing that came to mind was a briefcase of documents, incriminating documents, or a briefcase of cash, or something entirely different, a totally different tack. Maybe it's, go ahead, please, Dan.
Oh, I wanted to hear what Matthew actually had to say.
Oh, okay.
I like what you said about cash, but instead, how about something a little bit more nebulous? Either it is a commodity that is rare, that is tradable, like unobtainium, something like that, something that can be really like yes, I'm technically giving you cash, but also it is of like extreme value in the right circumstances, that kind of thing, so we can spend it for something else or whatever. I guess in the Marvel universe that would just be vibranium, right?
Yes. Right. Harry, you had something too.
I was thinking bearer bonds.
Could be that too.
I was heading in the direction that Matthew was, is sort of a thread that we didn't, a loose end. I know, shocking in one of my games, that we didn't tie up, but he sort of had this formula for like fast growth trees or something. Like, I feel like maybe there's some scientific stuff that might be useful. Though now that I say that out loud, you want something that you'll actually be able to use in the next mission. And formula for super fertilizer might not be widely universal. So I think like a briefcase of cash or some kind of useful mineral would be okay.
Yeah, and honestly, I would, not that I can speak for how Jackson uses his assets, I would never give away that kind of trade secret or agricultural secret.
That's a good point.
So one other thing that we will do, if you scroll down to the kind of bottom-ish of the character keeper, in Aegon, they have these great virtues. And what we do is we go around the table and we say which great virtues were exhibited by each character. In this case, instead of great virtues, I've got this list of ideologies, right? It's sort of, the idea is like, as you get deeper and deeper into this direct action eco-activism work, you're more completely embodying a very specific ideology, to the point where you're getting to, when you mark all 5 boxes, presumably you'll be at an extreme, right? You'll be so, I don't know, anarchist that you will, you can't actually really function effectively in a pluralistic group anymore. And the way this works is we go around the table. And so, for example, Mark would say, which ideologies did I represent? And then Matthew and Greg would each nominate one of these ideologies. So, Mark, since I did it, do you want to go first?
Sounds good. So each of you can choose one. They do not have to be the same, right? And whatever you think you saw come out of come out of Jackson during the course of the Green Wall.
Yes.
Good job.
So Matthew, you want to go first?
Still scratching a noodle on that on Jackson. Let's see. I think. Do you think libertarianism is appropriate for Jackson regarding, like, do you think that motivated his actions appropriately? Because that's what I felt.
Rules as written, this is not a negotiation. So it's simply,
You just say what it is. Yeah.
you just say what it is. So I feel like he was embodying a libertarian perspective. That's what Jackson will mark. So
all right,
Sounds good.
I marked it.
and Harry, what do you think?
Let's see here. Well, the nature of the project, I think, since we did end up helping in the long run, I think, conservation.
I like it. Yeah, he definitely did seem to want to get those trees in the ground. So, Harry, why don't you go now and ask the others which of these you embodied?
Yeah. What did Greg do?
Well, I'm going to say for Greg, I already know what to nominate. I'm going to nominate idealism because I felt like trying to approach it from a more like sort of like explainers that type kind of situation sort of made it come off that, you know, Greg really sees everything in, like, you know, dewy-eyed abstract terms. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I could go some different ways here. I think that I would go kind of with exploration, in the sense that it felt like Greg was finding out a lot about himself as he went through this. You know, he did things he'd never done. He reacted to things in ways that he didn't necessarily suspect that he would. So I would say exploration fits that.
And Matthew, your turn to ask for Oscar.
Yes. So, hey gang, what values what ideologies do you think Oscar Chakrabarty represented today? I'll ask I guess I'll ask Mark first. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I guess I feel like you're I feel some anti-authoritarian you know, in there. I think that you're like I don't know. I think that obviously you have some things going on. It just feels like you are you're at the point where you don't want any kind of authoritarian
I get
you don't want to be under anyone's thumb. Yeah, no, I'm really eloquent, I know. You don't want to be under anyone's thumb. You don't want to see anyone else in that position either. Those are things that jump out at me.
Nice.
It's okay. Thanks, Dad. All right. No, but cool. I like that. Harry.
I think the interaction that you just had with Jackson, it had a little bit of a tiny bit of spirituality attached to it, of discussing, you know, your illness and you know what you need to accomplish in this life before you go.
Oh yeah, it's cool. Thanks. I like that too.
That's cool. Yeah, there's that. I like that. There's this journey that Oscar is going on, right? And we're starting to see that kind of peek through a bit. All right, I think that was all the kind of bookkeeping to do. Oh no, let me. I've already reset your stress tracks, but what you do get to do is, hang on.
Oh, I do have to ask you. I'm so sorry, Dan. I do suck because I missed the duty for two of these roles. One of them was the final role, and the other one was earlier when we did the chase scene.
The clash.
Yeah, where we all no that clash we all got equal, so that was 13, 13, 13, right?
Right. Yeah. And then,
Sorry, then it was the one after that I mixed up. Where
I think you got, so the threat was
I'm so sorry about this.
it's fine. It's fine. You got you should have gotten 13 for that.
All right, I did not mark that. So
And then
yep,
and then did you take the 12 for the finale?
I did not.
And then
All right.
Greg does not get the 12 for the finale because you get one actually. And then Jackson does get the 12 for the finale.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
all right.
I love that Vice contact, by the way. So great.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Aries. Does Jackson get a momentum die for being best in that contest?
I mean,
okay. I don't have to.
No, I was literally just thinking about this.
Yeah.
It seems weird because the idea is you have momentum in this mission.
Yep.
But I think like the finale is the only place you cannot earn a momentum.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That makes sense.
Sorry, man.
I had a question as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did mark a second point of dedication because of the last bit. But the question I have is on bonds. Do they all reset? Because you said that I gained a bond with Oscar and Jackson. Are those the only two bonds I have going forward to the next one, or those are in addition to what I already have?
It's in addition to what you already had, though you do not regain any other new bonds. So basically, you should each have two bonds.
So it'd be Jackson and Oscar. So do I just replace Kara then on the?
You can do, or I can have the power.
Yeah.
To modify spreadsheets. There's no Excel. This is
Okay. Here we go.
So I think, we're at the end of the bookkeeping. Oh no, we need to recover strengths. So two of you have remaining strengths. You can keep those. Between mission, you can recover 3 marks of strength. So in start lines 17 through 21, you can check off 3 additional boxes from what's already there.
All right.
And now I think we're done with our bookkeeping. So that was great. So let's just talk about next mission. I've got one about sort of climate refugees called Nowhere to Hide on Scorched Borders that I don't think we'll be able to play through, but maybe we can play a couple contests in there. Would that be okay? Or are you okay with that topic, which I know is complicated, or would you rather do another mission?
I'm good with climate refugees. I mean, that's poignant. It works right from where we're going for this mission, kind of.
Yeah, there's a through line.
Yeah. Mark, you okay?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Okay, great.
I was half expecting Mark to say, "No, we need to do a smash and grab."
No. I was just looking at some of the different things,
And
and I was checking to see if something looked like it would be looked like it on paper is shorter. But let's do that one. I like that one.
Yeah. I do have a little mechanism in here. I think it's this one. Yeah, this kind of idea of a revelation. I don't know if we'll get to it, but like trying to build narrative twists into the islands, so to speak. So,
Great.
okay, cool. I love it. I'll try and like see how I can make it compressed. Guys, I'm having so much fun. Thank you so much. This has been just such a blast. I would love to do unless there's any other game related stuff that you all want to do, I'm ready to move on to Stars and Wishes. Does that seem okay to you?
Sure.
Cool. All right, Matthew, do you mind starting us off?
Yeah. Stars. What can I say? I always love playing Rising Tide, and I always love playing with you guys. I always enjoy Mark's company as well, and happy to have a second session with you, Harry. It's Harry, right? I have to remember who's who. Okay. So for real though, I really appreciated how you handled all of the situations today, Dan. It was a very big story with a lot of like pieces in play, and I thought they all came together very nicely, in a very satisfying fashion. I appreciated the role-playing moment that Mark indulged me in this game, even though the game doesn't have that many like sort of like character building mechanics. I thought, it was fun to do it. It was, I hope we can, sort of like cash this in the final session, like sort of like the way both of our characters have like real like outlooks on the career that they've chosen, and I always love hearing every kind of like solution or not solution but approach that Harry brings to the table, regardless of whether they win or fail. They're always endlessly entertaining to me. So yeah, stars to everybody. For the wishes. Oh my God, why do we only have one last session?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because.
Sorry to interrupt, Matt. Can I ask a question? Do you feel like this game could be run as a quarterly, or maybe 2 months rather than 1 month? Because I worry about fatigue because the mechanic is so repetitive. And sort of there's a big cognitive load in I mean, we got through, what was it, 6 rolls today, and it just felt like a lot. But I'm just wondering, could one sustain this for 2 months, 3 months?
Okay, so number one, I think we can sustain it for 2 months, but number two, I think I might not be the best critic in that situation. I like to prize myself as mostly objective in my analysis of this kinds of stuff, but when you say like cognitive load, I'm like, I don't think I'm really experiencing that. But then again, you as a GM have the burden of taking on these systems and sort of sometimes walking us through these dice rolls, and the sameness, like I get it, like it's the same mechanic over and over and over again. So objectively speaking, it is true, it is same. But I always feel like if the fiction is compelling and if the dynamic is great, then most people, and I can only ask for testimony from Mark and Harry today. Most people don't really mind. I mean, for God's sakes, some people will play. I'm not going to name any systems, but okay, some people will play systems that they deem to be subpar or that other people deem to be subpar just for the sake of like, the fiction being very interesting or the company being very good. So yeah, those are all things to consider.
Did you have other wishes?
Oh yeah. Wishes is, I think I'd love to see everything culminate in dramatic fashion, because that's what last episodes are good for, and maybe a good opportunity for Oscar to decide whether he will go out in a blaze of glory or retire peacefully to his final years, or if he's really lucky, find a cure. But
that's awesome.
Seems impossible at this moment. Anyway, all right, I'm done hogging up the spotlight. All right.
That was great, Matthew. Thank you. Harry, stars and wishes.
Again, I think everybody's doing a great job. I really liked when Oscar did the whipping the motorcycle around and shooting sideways. That was pretty cool. And I loved how Mark, when you had Jackson just jump on a motorcycle and take off. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second, what's the scientist guy doing? Jumping on a motorcycle and going. But hey, man, it worked. And then you're doing a great job. You're keeping everything connected and tying each character to the next character. And I think the glue is really good. Just everything's doing pretty good, and I'm enjoying myself very, very much. So for a wish, I think the one wish I might have is, even though we only have like one session, is that the maybe like at the very end is have a twist cliffhanger or something right at the end, just to say, well, that happened, and then something along those lines, something, to twist something right there at the end. But also, when you asked about whether it could be done quarterly, I feel this game really could. I mean, because I think it's just because I've never played with you guys before, so it takes a little time to to get things going. I think we're doing a good job and everything, but I think as we're going through the system, an extended period of playtime, I think would actually do pretty good for this game. I think it could definitely do it.
Cool. I love the idea of a twist cliffhanger. I don't know if you've been watching the new Marvel series, What If, but the last few episodes, they've been sort of like pretty good, and then they end on this moment where you're like, wait, what? What's going to happen?
Jamie loves that show.
I get so many questions from my 10-year-old, like, well, what did that mean, Daddy? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Oh my gosh. All right. Mark, you are up for Stars and Wishes.
Sorry, I thought I was muted when I did that big laugh. So I think that just off the top, stars all around. Matthew, I've gotten to play with you a few times now, and you are very thoughtful about your characters. There's depth to the characters. You make thoughtful choices and consider a lot more than I think I generally do with my characters. I'm way more surface. And Harry, excuse me, it's been really fun playing with you. You had signed up for iHunt and didn't get into the game. And I ever since I was always wondering, like, who's Harry Coynes? I really want to meet him. So it's great to get a chance to meet you and see you play. You take it seems like you take a lot of joy in role playing and coming up with fun things for your character to do. And I like the way that you're playing, Greg, because it's always like everything does seem like it's kind of new and exciting for Greg to me.
Yes.
And Dan, taking on teaching everyone a game system and then a variation on a game system is massive. And you are, as Matthew said, I think you're the one carrying like the bulk of the cognitive load here. The way that you have things set up, especially with the keeper, I think that it's extremely easy to just go down the list of cells, just go down that column and build a dice pool.
Oh, good.
It works really well. If I was looking at a character sheet, I probably would have. I haven't actually looked at the character sheet for Rising Tide, but when you're looking in different areas for things, it can be more daunting. Going down the line like this, I think, works really well.
I'm glad that's working. That's great. Thanks.
And I agree that I think the game would start to really come out if you had at least a 2-month run. I'm sorry, 2-month, 8-session, 9-session run. I think then people would start to see some of these advances come out, and you could do a little more character development as you move along. But it feels like it really would be served well by 2 months or a quarterly.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting it on the calendar again in December, but now that's a weird time to do a 2-month with all the holidays and stuff.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about doing a different quarterly in January. But maybe I'll do something, because I'm really liking the stories, and I do kind of want it. I do wish we had more sessions for this. for this crew. Also, the 3 or 4 times now I've played this, the crews have been so cool, like really interesting, diverse, like obviously working on the same mission, but having different reasons for being there. I've loved sort of watching those come out. Mark, did you have any wishes for next time?
No, I just want to see, pretty. I want to feel like things have wrapped up. I'm hoping that Shane makes it to the last game. It would be great to see Shane again for the finale. But beyond that, I am enjoying it as it is, and I'm ready to just write it out to the end.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to put some pressure. With this video, we'll have the wish. Yeah, our wish is like Shane shows up.
That's the wish.
I do miss. Don't get to play with her often enough. So,
yeah. Well, and Kara was such a cool foil. Like clearly embracing the violence. And I like when Oscar sort of discovered this legal hitch. I feel like Kara would have, because Kara was a former lawyer, right, would have played a really interesting role in that encounter as well. So, friends. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So sorry. I was going to say, like, I think I was listening to what Mark had to say. I think, and what you had to say about our characters, I think the nature of this game is that it's actually very character flexible. You know what I mean? And like your ability to come up with motivations and connections and backgrounds, and the milieu. Like, I think the possibilities that are expressed in this game are probably broader than in the base Agon itself, or in some other similar games. So maybe that's why the characters have been so great. I mean, also, great players, right? But like, yeah, but yeah. So the fact I've been able to roll Inga from a previous Rising Tide game in this game is like, and Oscar's very different from that. I think speaks highly of the system.
She, and in base Aegon, you basically play a superhero, right? They're not flawed characters, and for these stories to work, they need to be flawed characters. So the question was, is it feasible to do it mechanically? It was actually my son who came up with the mechanic. I was like, I want to do this thing. He's like, what if they could earn extra glory and give you a die? And it seems to be working well. Anyway, we're wrapping up. I have a million questions about the different aspects of the game. Do you all want to do that? Would it be okay for me to bug you on Slack about those questions? Should we save some time at the end of the next session to ask those questions? What do you prefer?
Pester me anytime.
Yeah, I mean,
or us collectively.
I'd love to do it. Is it more valuable to you if you have the opportunity for us to have a live roundtable at some point?
Well, I love talking about this stuff. So
right.
It's for me, to me, that's just part of the fun, is talking about the metagame as well. So
yeah,
if you don't mind spending time in a session doing that.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I don't know if you can arrange a separate, an hour sometime where everybody would be available. That would be enough. I know it's difficult to get people together.
Right.
That would be another option that doesn't chew into the time. So,
especially since most of us live on the wrong side of the world compared to me. All right, friends, that was so much fun. Thank you so much. And I will see you all next week. Have good weeks.
Thanks.
Bye, friends.